Hi, my name is Manal Khan, and I am a psychiatrist of South Asian descent, working with American Psychiatric Association to highlight the struggles of minorities in mental health. As a psychiatrist, I work with those who struggle with mental illness and have witnessed and worked with people suffering from significant pains of depression and anxiety. Unfortunately, people within South Asian communities often stigmatize the potential benefit of mental health services, often to the detriment of the individuals who are suffering. Sitting down with me today are Sikha and Gitartha. They are the parents of someone who's dealing with their mental health, as well as the associated social stigmas. Welcome. I'm glad that you guys are here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for doing with this because this is definitely an important topic, especially within our community.
Mm-hmm.
If someone comes up to you and wants to know what Sikha is going through, how would you describe what she's going through in your own terms, like in your own words? What would you say?
Yeah, the way I see is this: it is a result of different things. Like, first of all, we are the first generation of immigrants, okay, and then we have our mother tongue is a different language. Speaking a different language at home, but she grew up here, so she is. For her, the first language is actually English. So, but when she talks to us, we talk in a different language. That is the first hurdle. The second hurdle is this: when we grew up, we spent early part of our life in India. There are different social, rules, or whatever you can say, and so our standards are different.
So from what I'm understanding is that the cultural context in which you grew up was very different from the cultural context that Sikha is going through.
True.
And then there is this difficulty with linguistics as well, because English isn't your first language, it's her first language.
Right.
So there is some disconnect there
Exactly.
as well. Does it play into how you understand or how you understand her experience?
Yes, language parts a role. It may not be like 80% of the issue originated from the language thing, but definitely it has important role to play, basically. Our expectations are definitely different. It was set like we were weird like that, meaning it is because we grew up in a different atmosphere completely.
Yeah.
So for us, yes. Sometimes it is difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's difficult. Like, there are many examples of that. Like here, when a person graduates from high school, they become almost independent.
It's a big deal.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
But in India, at least when I grew up, it was like until you graduate from the university, basically, you are still with your parents.
Yeah. Even after marriage, sometimes.
Marriage, yes, some people, yes, do that. So it's a big difference. It's a big difference. Okay. Because they don't see from their perspective. Many people don't see that because they grew up here, right?
Yeah. And how is this difference perceived in the community? Do you think the community, assuming that some of the people in the community might be first generation, are here for the first time, are immigrants? Do you think there are any disconnects or there are any troubles with them understanding mental health at a larger?
And not everybody, right?
Yeah. Because
they have different background and they stereotype people. All these kind of things play in this.
Yeah. So how the community experiences mental health is very different.
Very different. Very different. Basically, in our family, I don't give importance, what the society says. But if you ask a general, an ordinary person, right, from the society, they are influenced by other people.
Yeah. Okay. So even from what I'm understanding, even from the perspective of someone who has come here who's living here in the U.S., has spent a considerable time here in the U.S., will it still be very difficult to communicate with them, given that they have had the exposure. They have had the exposure to the Western society and some of their values and some of how they sort of deal with mental health. And it might not be as stigmatized in this society. Do you think it's still difficult with your own community, within your own sub-community that's here in the US, to communicate how what Gitartha is going through?
No, if I talk to somebody who are here for a long time, they understand the things. They understand the thing. But people who are relatively new, they cannot understand.
They cannot understand. What is your understanding? Like, what do you think? Why Gitartha went through what she went through?
As I said, maybe one thing is the language barrier.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Then another thing is age barrier too, because we are from a different generation. Even here, people meaning like, you know, born and brought up here, there is the age difference, and then the way they look at things different. The age is another factor.
Sure.
Definitely language, age, and then basically we have different kind of social customs and all these things. So this completely different. Completely different.
Okay. How was it like for Gitartha to come out to you and tell you about her struggles? How was that experience like?
Yeah, initially I could not even understand, even though I have a lot of experience with dealing with people from different walks of life, but I could not even understand. But then I started realizing that when I grew up, my world was completely different. But now for her, whole world is here. So I started realizing that. And then I let my wife know that, hey, things are changing this way. So yeah, that's how we cope with that.
So kind of like realizing that the reality of the world is changing.
Changing, yes, yes.
Okay, okay. And have you faced any stigma from the society or even the subpopulation that's here in the US? Have you faced any of the stigma in your day-to-day life from the sub-community who's settled here?
It was, for her, it was not that severe. So it was mild, right? So she's, anxiety. Anxiety before an exam. Anxiety before something, right? These are almost normal things. So it is not that severe.
People do probe though. And is it a common thing?
Oh, it's very common. Another common thing is this, is the comparison. Between one student with another.
Like one family comparing their child with?
We never did it. We never did it by principle, because we were never compared when I grew up, when she grew up. We never compared with somebody else outside the family. Okay, we say that, okay, you need to be good. You know, but compare yourself. I always tell her that compare with yourself, so that you are a better Gitartha than yesterday's Gitartha.
Okay.
That's the way.
Aspire to be your best self.
Best, yes.
Okay. But not like comparing with
not
other children.
Not comparing with somebody else.
Okay, okay, okay.
But that's a big issue though.
It's a big issue.
In Indian society, and some more, like a few more from that Southeast society.
Yeah. Any other experiences from the mental health perspective, or anything that you would want to say about mental health, or about Gitartha's experience, or about the experience in the South Asian community, how mental health is perceived, how it is expressed to people, kind of a thing?
Yeah, only a major thing actually is this understanding. Understanding from both sides should be there, from the kids and the parents. If you talk about kids and parents, so both sides should be understanding of each other's views. If that is lacking, then that's a root of the problem. Then either the kids will have mental health issues, or the parents will have mental health issues. Somebody will have.
Okay. So it's like there should be open communication between between parents and children.
Sure.
Yeah. And what are your tips and tricks to kind of like foster or like promote that open communication between parents and children?
Yeah, first thing, because of I faced it myself, and we faced it, there should not be any language thing. Because whatever language somebody is comfortable, they need to express themselves in that language.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that at least for this kind of conversation, and then there should be more discussion, not arguments.
Yeah. So understanding each
other's views.
Yeah.
Both parties are equally responsible.
Okay. So kind of like understanding each other's views in the language that they're most comfortable in.
Comfortable in, yes.
Thank you for being a part of this, because yes, this is a big deal in our community. It is.
Yes.
There's a lot of stigma attached. There's a lot of things that can be learned. Like you mentioned, the open communication and understanding each other's point of views. So what do you suggest if someone wants to help someone who's dealing with mental health issues? What should they do?
Come up with an environment where the person can be comfortable with. Okay, so that don't make that person have that. Don't make that person believe that they have some kind of mental health. First of all, just talk with that person in a very peaceful environment.
Yeah.
I would say, not in a hostile environment. Okay, that's very much required. So then I think once the conversation starts, then you try to understand. If you are a parent, then try to understand what that person is actually facing, meaning the kid is facing, basically. Yeah. What is the main issue? Yeah. And once you understand the issue, then as a parent, you might be able to come up with kind of a solution if you think about it, basically.
Okay. So kind of like building an environment that is accepting to them.
Exactly.
That normalizes their experience and doesn't box them in a category like mental health or something.
Yes,
doesn't
exactly.
box them into that.
Right.
And then having these open communications.
Communication, yes.
And then trying to problem solve around it and coming up with a solution for it.
Sure.
Okay. Something like along those lines?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you give them that impression that they are suffering from some kind of a problem or disease or illness, then people become defensive, and then they may not come out with what their actual feelings are. So that's the problem.
They don't want to be labeled.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this interview. If you or a loved one is experiencing a time of mental stress, please check the resources below listed in the comments.